What's up out there? Kip here with Omnia Fishing, and today we have another rod bending for you. There's another Elite Series event going on right now on Lake Okeechobee. People are catching the snot out of them. The weather is finally turning up here in Minnesota. We've got mid-50s and no snow on the ground. We have the itch to get out there and start fishing. So we're talking about rods again. It's one of our favorite things to talk about, and one of the techniques that we love around here, and we actually did a part one about a year ago actually, I just checked, is the drop shot. Last time we did this bend, again about a year ago, we talked about the NRX Plus 822 DSR. I think we talked about a Victory 7.3 medium light and the Daiwa Tatula Elite 7.1 medium extra fast. I believe it's Brent Ehrler's drop shot rod. Those are all great rods, don't get me wrong. You're not gonna see them in this video, we already talked about them. But we've got 5 killer drop shot rods for you. They're not all specific to a drop shot. You can definitely do other things with a lot of these. But to kick it off, we are starting hot and heavy. This is the Daiwa Steez AGS. It's a 7'1" medium light fast action. This came in at 3.5 ounces. I believe they add a little bit of weight in the back here, but the AGS guides keep the front half of this rod super light. It is rated from 1/8 to 3/8 of an ounce. So pretty wide range there for your finesse applications. And it's called the Finesse Game Special. So this is one of the rods that is not gonna be limited to a drop shot, but it does make a killer drop shot rod. Before we get into the bend, what are we looking for when we're talking a drop shot rod? For me personally, I'm looking for a 7'10", call it, to a roughly 7'3" rod, either a medium light or a medium in some cases, but most often a medium light. I think all 5 of these rods are gonna be medium light powered rods, including this one. So those are kind of what I look for in a drop shot rod, and this fit the bill. Again, this is a super high end rod, but we do have several options in this video. We've got from $100 to this being the most expensive, but let's bring it to the wall. The 7'1" medium light fast action Daiwa Steez AGS. Okay, here we are with that Steez AGS 7'1" medium light fast action, and just giving it a little bit of pressure. It's definitely fast. Looking here, it almost looks extra fast from this angle, but if you do load it up, it does bend a little bit further into the blank. You actually hit quite a bit of power. To me, this backbone feels more like a medium, and that tip is soft, like a medium light should be. So for me, this feels like a super versatile rod to handle a lot of your spinning rod applications, definitely not just a drop shot rod. One thing I do wish Daiwa did with these Steez rods is they come with this little bait keeper that's got a rubber band around it. You can get them basically anywhere, but kind of wish they had a built-in bait keeper, especially for a drop shot. Being able to loop the weight around something in the back half here makes it a lot easier. These tend to fall off for me. Kind of nitpicky, but it is a $550 rod. Anyway, super light in hand, not tip heavy whatsoever. And again, I think this is a rod that you can do a ton of stuff with. A 7-foot medium is often considered to be one of the most versatile spinning rods you can get. Reminds me a lot of that in the back half of this rod, just with a softer tip. So if you're looking for a super versatile spinning rod and maybe want it to be just a tad softer to not only handle drop shots, but anything else finesse or lightweight, you've got a little bit extra money to spend, this is one to check out, the 7'1" medium light fast action Daiwa Steez AGS. Okay, next rod we're talking about is a rod from Falcon. This is actually a new series to us. We got it maybe 2-3 weeks ago. This is in their Expert series. It's a 7'2" medium light fast action rod. It's actually rated the same as that Steez was, 1/8 of an ounce to 3/8 ounce, but it is a little bit longer, 7'2", and it feels a little bit softer without actually bending it yet. But we'll take it to the wall and check that for sure. But this came in at a ridiculously low weight of 3 ounces flat. I've said it in the past, but I don't think Falcon adds much weight to the back, which is not an issue. If you can get it to this weight and have it still feel well balanced, you're gold. So this, I believe, comes with Fuji Fazlight guides. It's got that kind of blue insert. Really quality guide train. I have rods with these guides and have had 0 issues with them. So coming in around $220, $220. It feels like a really quality rod. Falcon went with a foregrip on this one. They do it in the lowrider too, but once you get into like the Cara, they actually switch it. I much prefer the foregrip. But excited to test this one out, the 7'2" medium light fast Falcon Expert. All right, back on the wall with that Falcon Expert 7'2" medium light fast action. And again, giving it a little pressure. From here, I don't know, I'll have to look at the footage later, but from here, this looks like an extra fast. I mean, I'm not applying that much pressure right now, and just that tip section wants to bend. But if you do load into it, it definitely bends further into the blank. I'm seeing the rod bending back here even. But as I suspected, much softer than that Daiwa Steez in the back section for sure. Does have the same ratings, 1/8 ounce to 3/8 ounce, but this one is definitely softer. So for me, this is like light line, nose hook, thin wire gauge drop shot. Definitely would excel in that scenario. Maybe something, since it is a 7'2", maybe it's something where you're casting your drop shot, not necessarily, you know, vertically jigging onto your boat with it, but something where you're having to get a little extra distance out of your cast. Maybe the fish are finicky. You need to get that presentation away from your boat. This is gonna give you a little extra length, still super light in the tip section, and it does have enough backbone where you're not gonna be overpowered by a 5-6 pound smallie. So a cool rod here in the Falcon Expert line. Again, it's the 7'2" medium light fast action drop shot rod. So those first two rods were kind of on the longer end of the spectrum I gave at the beginning of this video, 7'1", 7'2". These next two rods are gonna be on the lower end of the spectrum. When the drop shot technique came out a long time ago now, people were often throwing a 6'10" rod as kind of the standard. It was more of a vertical presentation. And since then, fish have gotten smarter, they're more pressured, you gotta make a further cast. Those rods have kind of gotten a little bit longer over the years, but this one falls into the 6'10" category. This is the 6'10" medium light, extra fast, Evergreen Combat Stick. And this is an awesome line of rods. They've got, I think, 4 spinning rods that are killer, and then they've got a bunch of casting rods that have super cool technique specific actions as well. This one came in at 3.9 ounces. For a 6'10" rod, it's a little bit heavy, but there's definitely weight in this back section. As it should for a 6'10" rod, it feels awesome, super light in hand. It's rated from 1/16 ounce to 3/8 ounce, so you should be able to handle a little bit lighter lures on this than the first two we saw, but maxing out again at that 3/8 ounce range. Something cool that Evergreen does with these spinning rods that I honestly wasn't a fan of at first, but I have since grown to really like it. They actually have 2 bait keepers here. The one on the bottom, probably for your drop shot applications. And then they got a little beefier one up top here. If you were shaking a minnow on this rod, throwing a Ned rig, someone with a bigger hook in it, they give you a second option there. I thought it was a little unnecessary, but now I actually really am a fan of that. Aesthetically, these are super eye-catching and coming in at a pretty reasonable price as well. They're $200, $220, similar to that Expert, but really quality rod here from Evergreen. Let's bring it to the rod wall. All right, we're on the wall with that 6'10" medium light extra fast combat stick from Evergreen, and just giving it a little bit of pressure. It's labeled as an extra fast. It doesn't seem any faster than the first 2 rods that we bent, and those were labeled fast. Loading it up a little bit more seems kind of like a fast action to me from this angle. You guys might see something different, but this seems more like a fast action rod. And actually for a medium light powered rod, it's got some power. Definitely hit some backbone back here. And I think this would actually make a really killer minnow shaking rod too. If you wanted something that you could double up with a drop shot and a forward facing sonar rod, this would be one to definitely check out. And something I was touching on earlier about how drop shot rods have gotten a little bit longer over the years, in my opinion. One of our home lakes, Lake Mille Lacs, is a great example. You used to be able to go up there with a short rod, 2D sonar, and basically vertically jig a drop shot and just catch any number of smallies up there. Nowadays, they're a little more pressured, they're a little smarter. People have kind of gravitated towards a longer rod just to give you a little further distance when casting at those fish that aren't as willing to bite as they used to be. So cool rod here from Evergreen. If you're a more traditional drop shot guy, like a little bit shorter rod, maybe something that can do your forward facing sonar stuff and a drop shot, definitely check out the 610 medium light, extra fast Evergreen Combat Stick. All right, very similar spec rod to the one we just looked at. This one is coming from St. Croix though. This is in their Legend Tournament Bass series. It's a little bit spendier. You're looking around more the $300 mark. It came in at 3.7 ounces, so a tad lighter, but basically same specs. 610 medium light, extra fast, rated from 16th ounce to 3/8 ounce. Very similar on paper. I'm interested to see if there's any difference on the wall, but in hand feels awesome. St. Croix has gotten really good over the years at balancing their rods. They are known to be a little bit softer than other manufacturers. So again, I'm interested to see if that's the case with this rod, but looking at it, it looks like it might have a little bit more power than a traditional medium light in my eyes, but nonetheless, this feels like a killer rod. Cool thing about the St. Croix, once you get over that, or to the victory line and up, at $200 mark, is you get a rod made in the USA and you get a really good warranty. Don't quote me on it, but I think you're around a 15-year warranty with this rod and the Victory. So if you want to support an American-made product, definitely the LTB, the Victory, awesome rods. They make this exact rod in the Victory too. So if you want to bring that price point down a little bit, definitely can. But let's give this one a bend. The 610 medium light, extra fast, St. Croix Legend Tournament Bass. All right, on the wall with the 610 medium light, extra fast, Legend Tournament Bass from St. Croix, and giving it a little bit of power right away. I can tell this is a different rod than that Evergreen we looked at. This looks a lot faster from my angle. Just a little bit of pressure, that tip, just the tip section, like third guide down and up, seems like it's bending. And then you hit strictly backbone, it looks like. So a much different rod. I think this would actually make a killer forward-facing sonar rod over a drop shot rod. Personally, when I'm fishing a drop shot, I want something that loads a little bit further, just to keep that fish pinned a little bit better. But if you're throwing a minnow out there and you get a bite on the end of your cast, you want to get to backbone quick. And this rod could definitely do that. If we have any walleye guys out there, this would also be an awesome jigging rod for walleyes, I think. I'm not a walleye guy myself, but I know this is a style of rod that you definitely look for in that world. So for me, I think we got it right in the first video. I think that 7.3 medium light St. Croix, whether it's in the LTB or the Victory, personally, I think it might be a better drop shot rod than this one. But if you are a vertical drop shot fisherman, this could definitely get the job done. Again, the 610 medium light, extra fast, Legend Tournament Bass from St. Croix. For the last rod in today's rod bend, we had to throw one in there for the guy who's just getting into drop shot fishing, maybe fishing in general, and isn't wanting to spend $200, $300, $500 on a rod. This is going to be a great entry-level rod that gives you the quality you're looking for without breaking the bank. This is the Daiwa Tatula XT, 7'1", medium light, extra fast. It's very similar specs to the Steez we looked at, just at a much friendlier price point. And this one came in at 3.6 ounces. Still really lightweight for a $100 rod. For ratings, we're looking at 1/8 ounce to 3/8. Pretty standard for this video. It's going to cover most of the drop shot weights that you're going to need. They also make this rod in a 7-foot medium light fast action. If you prefer just a fast action over an extra fast, maybe you want a rod that doesn't hit backbone as quick, that's definitely an option too. It was tough to pick between the two, but ultimately just went with this one. You could sub out the 7-foot medium light fast as well. Let's give this rod a bend. Again, the Daiwa Tatula XT, 7'1", medium light, extra fast. Back on the wall with the 7'1", medium light, extra fast, Tatula XT from Daiwa. I'm giving it a little bit of pressure. I'm seeing more like a fast action than an extra fast. Again, from my angle, tough to tell. But when you really load up the rod, it does have more give than I thought it would. Definitely still backbone there, but it is wanting to bend a little bit further. To be honest, that's not a surprise with a rod, sub $150. The lower price point rods tend to have not as crisp of blanks as the super high-end stuff, and that's not a bad thing. I actually prefer that in a lot of cases. A rod with a super fast action can be really sensitive. You can detect bites a little bit better, but they aren't the best actions for catching fish. I've said that in the past, and you're probably getting sick of it, but I prefer a rod like this that has a little bit more consistent bend throughout the blank. And this falls into the category with that Steez, as far as action goes, of being more versatile than just a drop shot rod. Definitely anything in the finesse realm where you got to throw it on a spinning rod, you need light line, whether that's a drop shot, a Ned rig, a swim bait, a paddle tail swim bait, a wacky rig, a Nico rig, anything under the sun, this rod's going to be able to handle it. But it would also make a great technique specific drop shot rod if you wanted it to be that. So if you're a guy on a budget, or maybe you're just somebody that doesn't want to spend $300, $400, $500 on a drop shot rod, that's completely valid too. Definitely need to check out the Daiwa Tatula XT line. There are several killer rods in that lineup, but this is a standout to me, the 7'1", medium light, extra fast Tatula XT. That's gonna wrap it up for this week's Rod Bend. Be sure to let us know in the comments what your favorite drop shot rod is, and while you're at it, let us know what we should be bending next. We're always looking at your comments, and we love to see the suggestions. So let us know in the comments. And remember, if you are not an Omnia Pro member already, everything that you're seeing in this video, you're gonna get 10% back on. All your tackle, your reels, your rods, tournament accessories, tackle boxes. Omnia Pro members get 10% back on all of their fishing gear. So be sure to start a 7-day free trial at omniafishing.com, and we'll see you next week back at the rod wall.